Hey everyone, my name is Jens and welcome to the new Sci-Fi weekly recap video. This week has been pretty crazy, but let's break it down. So when we're trading a sci-fi strategy, of course we look for arrows. That's our first step. And if you just look through the alerts we had this week, you see right here an arrow. It went up on GBP NZD. Euro NZD did about the same. AUD CHF same. GBP AUD, without even looking at the steps. Even AUD CAD, which is a no trade pair, even that dropped. So there was extraordinary market movement, as we can see. All the other arrows were light shades. Yeah, that's basically everything we had this week. So we had crazy market movement. If you just look at how this pair has been moving, over the last few weeks, it's been going like pretty calm and steady, doing some normal stuff, and then all of a sudden it yeet. So it's been a crazy week. If you look at the stock market, everything that's going on right there, this is some crazy market movement for sure. Same with gold. Um, Gold has been moving like crazy, like a gazillion pips. So why is that? First of all, what we need to take in consideration this week while trading is a massive news event that happened right here. And the massive news event that we were anticipating on is, of course, if you look at the news, we had a lot of news this week, but the main thing was the tariff plan. Okay. This is when Trump was speaking in Central European time. This was Wednesday evening at 10 p.m. So that was a pretty crazy thing happening. Okay, and let's just break it down. Let's just look at the trades that we took. So we had Euro NZD and GBP NZD. Those correlate. So if you're in Euro NZD, you're never going to take GBP NZD. If you have the full 2% risk on the first one, then you're not going to take the second. If you miss the second one, you can take. If you miss the first, sorry, you can take the second, of course. But let's break it down. What happened? So if we go to the chart and we go to Euro NZD. So this one, pretty much what happened is we have the arrow. Cool. We got notified on the phone. We have a 2-day pullback, which is the second step of our 3-step system, and we have our W. Then when we enter the trade, it left off pretty fast. It came back for like a little wick in the beginning, but then it left off and it went pretty fast. And our initial target, of course, is a 1 to 2. You guys know that. So we missed target by like just a little bit. And then we pulled back. Okay. And where did we get out? Where did we get out? We got out right here. Why? Because at 10, we had that news event, right? Our rule is to pull out 1 hour before major news events, which is 2 candles before. And that is right here. So this generated a 1.65 risk to reward, more or less. And that's also what we put in the journal. So if you took this first trade, amazing, you banked 3.3% if you're trading with a 2% risk. Okay. So that's basically what we wrote down right here. We pulled it out, 1.65 risk to reward, generating 3.3%. That's basically that. Now, of course, if you missed this trade, you still had the opportunity to get in 30 minutes later on GBP NZD because that pair correlates. This one was 30 minutes after that. And what you can see is we did the same thing. So we left off pretty fast to target 1, right? That's where we go break even, where we protect our capital. Then target 2 was all the way up here, which we didn't really get near to. But then where we really pulled out, oh, yeah, that's right there, is 1 hour before this massive news event. And that's a good thing because you can see the wick down. It wicked all the way down here, right? That's pretty deep. And if you're on a break even, then you probably had slippage and you had a loss. So it's good that we took it out an hour before with a risk to reward of 1.28. If you took this trade with 2% risk, you're making 2.56% profit. Okay, so that's basically what we wrote down right here. I'll add this, generating 2.56% profit. And for this track record, we take the least, or the least, profit. So in this track record, you'll see I counted the GBP NZD trade, giving us 2.56% profit. That's the least trade we could take. Okay. Of course, it would be more logical to have the Euro NZD trade since that was the first one. But I know some of you missed it because it left off pretty fast. So therefore, I want to count this one in because you had plenty of time to get in that. So then you know that's in the track record for that reason. Some more explanation over here, of course, and that's basically it. So that's the trade of the week. That was pretty good. And of course, I get you guys. The feeling of, pulling it out right here for it to then continue all the way to our previous high, which is a logical target, I know. For it then to come back and then, go all the way up, it's hard to watch. I get it. You start to feel, FOMO. You're missing out. You pull it out. Oh no, I get it. But this is trading, guys. You have to be disciplined with your plan. And sometimes moves like these will happen and you will have to get out early to protect yourself because you never know what's going to happen. Okay. Now, if we scroll down, I have some additional pictures. Of course, we called the trade, right? I'm not going to, say whatever when we didn't call it. We called it before it left off. And we also mentioned when to go break even when we hit the first target because that went pretty fast, as you could see on the Euro NZD chart. Oh, it's glitching a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Right, we can see that it left pretty fast. That's why we have this picture in here. Now, there are also a few trades that we didn't count in the track record. I want to go over this because the profit is not counted, the analysis are not counted, because that would mess up the stats and we don't want that. So therefore, I put it in the notes below. And what you can see is we communicated beforehand that AUDCHF, it was a decent looking trade, but we communicated why we are not intending to put this in the track record. And you can see that right here. This play will not be counted in the track record because the M pattern doesn't have a strong second leg. The pullback is also, 2 hours short, but that's not too much of a biggie. I was just mainly concerned about the other one. So let's look at it. AUDCHF. This is just for learning purposes, okay? But this is an interesting one. So we have the arrow, amazing. We have the 2-day pullback, it's 2 hours short, but it's the 2-day pullback. And then we have our M pattern. Now this M pattern is not ideal. Why? We want to have at least 2 candles up, we have about 5. We want to have at least 2 candles down, we have about 3. That's amazing. Then we want to have at least 2 candles up. We only have 1, and then we have at least 2 candles down. That's also good. So because we only have 1 right here, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Okay. And that's also why we put it like that in the message when we send it out. You can see the time, you can see the chart, it's just the real time message that we send out. And that's basically it. Now, even if you were in the trade, you would have pulled out with 0.52 or 0.5 risk to reward. And with a 2% risk, this would generate 1% in profit. Okay, so that's also journal right here. Cool. Then, of course, I added some more pictures in there, some more explanation, etc., etc. Then we had another one that correlated with that. So we had AUDCHF, sorry, and then we have NZDCHF. Of course, this was a similar setup. So the same applies for this setup. We only had 1 bullish candle on the second leg, and the pullback was a little short. Let's take a look. NZDCHF. Same story. Okay. So the pullback was, what was it? 1 day and 18 hours? No, that's not right. Started here. Arrow is right there. Yeah, that's about 2 days. Then, of course, we have at least 2 candles up, 3 candles down, two candles up is not the case, and then we have two candles down. So that's why we weren't the biggest fan of taking this. Now, either way, if you did, you again had 1% profit. Okay. Basically the same play, why they correlate. So again, if you take it, you never take both trades. You're never going to take 2% risk on AUDCHF to then take 2% risk on NZDCHF again. That doesn't make sense, because now the chances of them both going the same way are very high. So if they both go the wrong way, you're actually risking 4% on one analysis, right? It's not one chart, but it's kind of one analysis because they correlate. Okay. Of course, I added some extra pictures in here of how that went, etc., etc. But of course, now we had the NZD pairs, GBP and Euro. Those buys that we were in there earlier, they went to the moon. These pairs, they melted to like I don't know where. So now you start to feel FOMO, right? And that's important to not feel FOMO and to make sure that you stay disciplined and stay true to your plan. And then the last one was AUD CAD. This is a no trade pair. Okay. No trade pairs are the pairs that we don't trade. We don't trade AUD CAD, AUD NZD, NZD CAD, and exotics. It's just as simple as it is. But even if you did take it, right? Let's break it down. AUD CAD. Where is it? To the layouts. Yeah. AUD CAD right here, taking it out 1 hour before the news. As you can see, this is the news event. 1 hour before, we were basically at break even. Okay. So that's basically it. So nothing crazy there. You can see a picture with that. And that's basically all the trades that we send out, that we communicated about, etc., etc. Of course, there was another trade, and that's the last one that we really had an alert on. And the crazy thing is, we didn't talk about this trade for the obvious reason that I think I have it marked up though. Yeah, GBP AUD. We didn't talk about this trade for obvious reasons. The reason was we have a 2-day pullback. You can see that, pullback starting here. It's all about here. It's the same, like 1 day in 20 hours, 22 hours, whatever. So that pullback was pretty decent, but we don't have the W. Okay. We are looking for this, a higher low, meaning the first leg needs to be the lowest point of the pullback. The lowest point of the pullback is right here. Oh, that's the wrong arrow. Let me take this one. Is right here. That's not a W, right? And I know some of you guys are drawing the W like this. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me because it's a lower low. I want to see, I want to see the opposite. I want to see a higher low. So for me, this is just not a valid pattern. That's why we didn't talk about it. And then the funny part is this trade goes to TP2 before the news hits. That's like 30 minutes before we were about to pull it out, because this is the news, right? This right here is the news. We're about to pull it out an hour earlier, so that's right here. And like 30 minutes before that, it hit our TP. So it was, for a lot of people, a pretty frustrating week because of that one news event, because the trade you didn't take because it was not valid with the pattern, which is this one, GBP AUD, that trade goes to TP. Then the one you took, it's going a little slower, especially this one, the Euro NZD trade. It came so close to TP2. TP2 was right here. It came so close, and then it goes back, and then so on an emotional level, this week was a very, very, educational week where you can learn a lot. And I hope you guys learned a lot during, this week and trading this. And of course, make sure to review this journal, this track record, because right now, if we take a look at it, it takes some time to load because there are 90 trades journaled in this in this track record. But right now we are up 269%. 77 wins out of the 90 trades that we took. And of course, here you can see these no trade pairs as well. The no trade pairs, by the way, are also in the ebook. You can find that everywhere. And that's basically it. Okay, so we journaled this one setup. I just took the least profit that we could take, even though it would be more logical to take that 3.3%. I'd rather take this one because most of you took it. And that's it, guys. So that's the recap of the week. I hope this was a good video for you guys to learn. And this shows you why it's so important to be patient. Because, rewatch this video and just imagine that you wouldn't take all these trades out when, when the news hit. Then you probably had not only a stop loss, but also slippage, right? You can see that in these screenshots. Wow. What happened? It's pretty crazy. If you're in this trade and it shoots up like this, you're not taken out on a stop loss. You're taken out on, like, if this is 2% risk, you're probably taken out at 3% loss because it's going so fast that you experience slippage, and you don't want that because then this week would have been, not the best week. Okay, so always stick to the rules, fam. Always make sure to pull out before massive news events. And then I hope this video was something you can learn from. So that being said, we'll see each other next week in the next recap of the week. And I'm sure we're going to crush it again next week. Let's go.